Hello, everyone. This is Big Boss Calvin 83. This is what I want to talk about. And, this topic is long overdue. I want to talk about Casey Anthony, and the O.J. Simpson comparison. First off, I want to say it's fucking bullshit to even bring O.J. Simpson into this equation. First of all, understand this: O.J. Simpson is male and he's brown. He's a man of color. He's black. Okay, black American. Casey Anthony is Caucasian female. As a Caucasian female, there is no similarities of the two. Okay, I want to share you some screenshots. I don't know how I'm going to get the words out, but I'm really getting annoyed about this whole O.J. Simpson, Casey Anthony comparison. And I notice there's always the majority are ignorant Caucasian people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because there's no comparison. Why don't you talk about Caucasian male murderers who got away with murder? Who got acquitted? Who actually were guilty? O.J. Simpson was not guilty of that crime. And there's facts that back it up, but you motherfuckers are too lazy to look that shit up. Instead of just believing what the television set tells you, why don't you do your own fucking research? Stop instead of listening to the Jewish media. And that's another thing. You're getting raped instead of listening to the Caucasian oligarchs. Why don't you people, you common people who don't have no power, who don't control shit, and you Caucasian good old boy Americans, why don't you do your research? Do your research. You got internet. You got your internet. You got internet. You have more access to the internet than people of my kind. So there's no excuse for you not to do any research. Understand? But first, before I even rip you a new one, I'm going to read some screenshot captures and show you some things that will prove what I believe is the truth of O.J. Simpson. Mainly. And I'm going to show you how there's no relation to Casey Anthony. It's fucking ridiculous. It's recording. I want to read you some screenshots by people on Facebook. And this man is correct with his points. This credit goes out to him by John. Good point. Come on, folks. Let's stop with the O.J. Simpson comparison. Unless Casey Anthony plans on stealing back her football memorabilia from a sports collector, only to jump over the chairs in the airport, I don't see the connection. That is true. You see, you can read these comments. You can pause the video. Just read what people are saying. I mean, people want to bitch about people getting away with murder. Why don't you go after these crooked cops who kill innocent people for no reason? And especially cops who kill solely because of their race. Kill another person, specifically a male, because their skin color is different from theirs. Why don't you people get in the uproar about that? Get in the uproar, protest. I mean, when I saw what happened in San Francisco, that was wrong. It happened recently. And not just what happened with, what was his name? Oscar Grant. But let's talk about Sean Bell out in New York City. Got blasted by cops for no reason. He was an unarmed person. Didn't do anything to get shot, but the cops are trigger happy. Now, if this person happened to be a Caucasian man, young Caucasian man, good, especially if he's good looking, especially if he got money, especially if he's a young kid, you Caucasian people would just be on the uproar, okay? But for some reason, same with you other groups who don't like. Who have a disdain for people of color, who have done nothing to you. I don't ever remember so-called black people. Well, I call Nubian, which is the correct term. Black people stealing lands, stealing resources from other countries, black men raping every country they went into, every society, and rape their women and children, and castrate and kill the men, and kill the women and children, and molest them and rape them to death, and maim them, and then steal resources from their lands. And I don't see brothers going into Iraq under the, I don't know how you would say it, black Jewish dictatorship, and starting wars with another group of people who did nothing to them. 9/11, inside job. And I mean, not just in 2001, but in the late 80s and in 1993, all inside jobs. Pearl Harbor. I mean, with Japan dropping bombs on them, stealing their resources and terrorizing them for a crime that the U.S. played a part in. Again, I can go on and on about this. It's fucking ridiculous. People are not thinking. I mean, look at all the other societies who are poor. They're poor because they've been brutalized by Europeans. I'm not trying to say people of Nubian descent are angels. Black people are angels. I'm not saying that. So don't get it twisted. Or any other group is angelic. But I mean, what people need to understand is they need to get their heads out of their asses and stop with these fucking generalizations. People need to stop being so fucking selfish. You know, you don't care about what happens to the next person. The person, it could be your neighbor, person that you know in your community, or outside your community. You don't. I'll just say outside your town. You don't care about what happens. I'm in Carolina. I live out. Shouldn't even tell you where I fucking at. But I live in Carolina. I'll just say this. I don't care. I mean, you got people in Carolina. Something that happens out in South Carolina, Tennessee, people aren't concerned about that. But when it happens in your backyard, then you want to care. And that's the problem. People in America don't care what happens in other societies until it happens to them. And that's what's the problem. People only care when it happens to them. When they had that school shooting out in Denver, Colorado, Littleton, Colorado, I mean, I'm pretty sure the people, when that school shooting happened, did not care. Even though there were other school shootings like in Mississippi, and there was one out in Texas. You know, I think there was one out in Brooklyn in the inner city. Nobody cared. Particularly so-called white suburbia didn't care. But when it happened in their own backyard, y'all cared. And y'all crying and talk about metal detectors. When the reason why school shootings will happen, I would say more out in the suburbs, because people out there are so stuck up. They got their heads so far off the ass. They're fucking bigots. They think they're better than. They think they're gods. They think they're better than most people. They walk around with a silver spoon in their fucking mouth. They feel they can treat people like shit. They don't go through nothing. They don't go through no hardships. Like a person, like a typical person who comes from a blue collar area, neighborhood. I mean, they have to work 100 times harder, especially if they're a person of color. They don't think about that and then to get shitted on and dumped on. I mean, you got a recipe for disaster. So I just want people to think about these things. So what I want to do, I want to talk about people who got acquitted from crimes. But it's like OJ always gets brought up in the conversation of murder when he's not a murderer. To tell you the truth, I don't know what happened, but it doesn't strike me. OJ doesn't strike me as a murderer. He strikes me as a guy who just made dumb decisions to be with Nicole Simpson in the first goddamn place, or just the way he just made decisions in his life. That's my complaint about OJ. But we're gonna judge. What are we judging about? Are we judging a person's character, or whether they committed a crime or not? I'm gonna show you some cases in the topics message board, and a lot of people have different ideas and different theories. So I want you to come up to your own conclusion and actually do your own research. Okay. This is where I'm at right now. We're on topic. So this is a screenshot. This person. Okay. I want to read off word for word. I want to try to read from word for word. Sometimes sometimes I will use my words instead of what's actually being presented. So I'm not going to waste no time, but let me show you what's being said. Why are white people still mad that O.J. Simpson was acquitted of double murder against his ex-wife Nicole and Ron Goldman in June 1994? I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to give my critique right now. I mean, wait a minute. I mean, it's almost this case is almost 20 years old, and that's the past. That's the past. Isn't that what's told to black people to forget about what happened with the slave trade? People, my thing is, what about the Klan lynchings? You know. The instances the hate crimes and murders and black people getting hung. I mean, before World War One, I mean, you got black people getting terrorized everywhere in the I'm not going to just say in the South. World War II, black people fought in the war and didn't get no respect, still discriminated. I mean, in my opinion, that was foolish on their part. But, you know, I mean, we're told to forget about the past. We're told to forget about Jim Crow. Jim Crow. You got Caucasian women accusing black men of rape, and it didn't happen, even though they were raping black men. Because if you don't sleep with me, I'll tell my ass that you rape me. Situations like that. Y'all don't want to talk about that. You got what happened with the 70s with the whole welfare bullshit, breaking up black families. I mean, since black men were discriminated, not getting jobs, being discriminated. I mean, the whole welfare system was designed to break up families. I mean, across the board. But they focused on the black community and the whole feminist movement after the so-called civil rights movement, which got infiltrated. That's why it failed the way it did. You follow what I'm saying? These are all recent. I mean, the last slave that was alive died in 1949. Did anybody know about that? The last person who was born from a parent who was a slave died in 2001. And that person was relatively young, technically. But see, but you're going to tell me to forget about the past. But you're going to bitch and cry about OJ. I call bullshit. Really. I mean, like I said, now I'm going to continue with the rest of the message. But I had to get that ran out. That was nearly 16 years ago, which was the past, like I said before. And yet, everywhere I go, no matter what type of white person I have a conversation with about this topic, young, old, poor, rich, male, female, all white people are still enraged. Why? I wouldn't say all. I mean, I would just say the majority are just fucking ignorant. But because, I mean, you gotta understand the sheep to their own system. Why? It was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that O.J. Simpson was guilty of these crimes. There was no, I mean, what's the proof? The glove didn't fit. I understand he was in prison now for different crimes, which, by the way, he was set up, but, you know. Okay, I lost my place. Shit. It was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that O.J. Simpson was guilty of these crimes. I understand he's in prison now for different crimes, but why can't white people just get over the fact that O.J. Simpson was exonerated? I think that's how you say it. Actually, I feel he was totally innocent. He didn't have time to slaughter two people. Now listen to me here. Clean up. He didn't have time to slaughter two people, clean up, then hop on a limousine for his flight to Chicago later that night. Also, Listen to this. Also, the LAPD did not find blood. Also, the LAPD did not find blood in the pipes in his bathroom tub, etc. Also, Mark Furman is a racist pig cop that ruined the investigation. So why don't you yell at that crooked cop for ruining the investigation? I mean, why don't you get on the cop? Because you gotta understand how crooked and criminal the cops are and unfair. I mean, you understand now. Now I'm gonna step off a little bit. I mean, the way cops treat people who don't understand their rights, people who are less fortunate, people who are not part of the upper class. You understand? People who are different, who are non-Caucasian, particularly a darker hue, who are particularly so-called black people. I mean, they label us as black, which has a negative connotation. So I don't believe the whole concept of skin color and race, because those are just titles that are man-made. I mean, cops take advantage of people of color. Bottom line, and the people who are mainly non-Caucasian, and they also take advantage of men, particularly, that people forget. That's how racism is aligned with feminism, because it targets the man mainly, not the woman. I'm not saying it don't happen to women. It just don't happen that often. Because if it did happen to women, there would be an uproar. Even though when black women joined the feminist movement, they got burnt. That was foolish on their part. People hate it when I say it like that, but that's the truth. But like I said, and also you gotta understand, cops, from bad experiences. I mean, a cop fucked me over just so he can get his fucking promotion. He got promoted for trying to destroy my life. I know countless other people who had their bad experiences with cops. And the thing is, to be a cop, you have to be a dumbass, an idiot, who will blindly follow orders, who doesn't care about people. And that's how it is. Because we, the people, let it get that happen, and we let the whole concept of how much money you have, what your skin color is, we let these, and what your gender is, and the social positive, we let these petty ass categories, I call it, get in our way from working together. That's why we can't get nothing done. Cops have a quota to make, so they break the law so they can get paid. That's all they do. They break the fucking law to get paid. You can't even film these motherfuckers. But fuck it. No, film these motherfuckers. Take out your cameras and start filming these motherfuckers. Because if they want to penalize you for you videotaping them, for you watching what's going on, for their evil criminal acts, but they feel it's all right, they have a right to film you, especially when they got that show called Cops, film you without your fucking consent. So then you film them back. And you shoot at them back if they shoot at you. I don't care if they got a fucking badge. They're not above the law. And that's what happened. The cop fucked up the case. That's how OJ got acquitted. You understand what the root of the problem is? So you need to yell at that. You need to curse out the LAPD for trying to put a black man in jail to make themselves look good, because that's what they tried to do. That's what they're aiming for. Now I'm gonna read the rest. I mean, they didn't. The LAPD did not find blood in the pipes in his bathroom, tub, etc. Also, Mark Furman, a racist pink cop, ruined the investigation. Actually, that's the same shit that happened with Casey Anthony. They fucked up the case. I think the cops did try to help cover up for that bitch. They did. They tried to help her out. They did. They screwed up on purpose so she can get acquitted. I think she would have got acquitted. She would have got acquitted anyway because she's a female. She got a hole between her legs. But they just helped her a little bit more. Also, the cop ruined the investigation. Also, now I'm reading again. Also, OJ's ex-wife Nicole was a high roller, party with other prostitutes, used cocaine regularly, and left her kids at home. Child neglect all the time. But you don't want to talk about that. You people don't want to talk about that, and you know who I'm talking about. The media paints her to be a blonde goddess angel, but she's not very good. She's not a very good mother to entertain prostitutes, drug fucking dealers where the children lived. And anybody could have killed her. She messed with drug dealers. Hello. She messed with drug dealers, fucked with prostitutes, and they were pimps around the side too. She messed with the wrong people, and that's why she got killed. But y'all don't want to talk about that. Also, I'm reading again, continuing. Also, I certainly believe that OJ and Nicole had a volatile relationship. It was alleged that by Al Collins, OJ's best friend, during the civil trial for the murders, that Nicole called OJ the N-word many times during the 17-year relationship when he argued with her. I mean, what did OJ expect? Well, no, I just had to say that. But maybe if he did do it, maybe she called him that name at the night of June 12th, and he just snapped. I don't think he's guilty. Johnny Cochran did a brilliant job defending OJ, by the way. God rest his beautiful soul. Go, Johnny. Go. We love you. And also, to add a side note about the bitch Nicole Brown Simpson, and I'll fuck about respecting the dead because she don't deserve it. I mean, she cheated on OJ. Do y'all want to talk about that? No. She cheated on him, right? Let's say he did do it. Think about it. Think about this stuff. She cheated on him. She took his kids away. She did drugs. Think about it. She's messing with drug dealers, prostitutes, and pimps. Chances are, what did the kids could have got molested and raped by her hanging out with those bad boys. And Ron Goldman was a fucking bigot to begin with. That guy she had the affair with or was with, he was a fucking he was a fucking bigot. He was a fucking criminal himself. But y'all want to paint these people because they have pale skin, because they're Caucasian, as angels, and you want to portray OJ because has melanin in his skin and he's brown skinned, he's dark skinned, as a devil. That's what y'all trying to play. That's what the media is trying to portray it. And who runs the media? It ain't my black ass. I can tell you that for sure. But I remember arguing with a guy in Ireland. He was European, right? So you assume that he's Caucasian. But I don't control the media either. But y'all part of the infrastructure. You support your own system. I don't see any resistance. I've seen very little resistance because we contribute to the system. Particularly the Caucasian people, they contribute to the system that they complain about. Even though you're getting fucked in the ass by the Caucasian oligarchs. You're getting fucked in the ass by the elite bankers. You're just now figuring it out. You're just now waking up. Because it's happening to you. Like I told you, man. The whole plan, the elites plan with the racial divide and conquer was a plan. Of course they're going to give you more leeway because you're part of their group, but you're not part of the class. You follow what I'm saying? You're not part of the class. So I don't understand why you walk and act like you think that you're better than me when they see you as the same nigger as me. You understand? It's like, what is so hard for you to understand that? White privilege doesn't get you that far like it used to. the elites, they have a big time privilege. So I want to read on. I'm going to skim down, show you more screenshots. The next comment, probably because there was a ridiculous amount of evidence trying to tie him to the murders, and he got off on a technicality. You think most people would be enraged at least mildly irritated that the murderer got to walk free, but no, blacks love it because he's black. So it came from an ignorant racist bigot. Okay, chocolate ice cream responds to John's dumbass from Indiana. What ridiculous amount of evidence? The bloody glove of that racist cop, which is planted, didn't fit. Mark Foreman planted that at OJ's home. Why should black people be enraged that OJ walked free? White people were enraged when those white police officers were acquitted of beating Rodney King. They got to taste their own medicine. Exactly. Huh? That's why I say exactly. Huh? How did that feel? Did it feel good now? White people didn't care about Rodney King because he was black. If that would have been a white boy, whites would have been protesting. And it doesn't matter what Rodney King did prior. There was no reason for him to be beating that sentence. That was, I mean, when someone attacks you was one thing, you defend yourself. But when a person's on the ground, and helpless, and unarmed, there's no reason to be beating him to death. There's no reason for that. I mean, I look at the murders. I mean, now I'm so pissed off. You can read the rest of the screenshots, pause the video, and look at the rest of it. I will give you time. Let's talk about Phil Sector, the Phil Sector case. He got acquitted, and he was Caucasian. Okay. And what was he charged with and accused with? He was charged for falsely shooting a former actress in his mansion. And he got acquitted for killing another. So he probably, I don't know whether it was probably his ex-girlfriend, maybe ex-significant other. They didn't say it was his wife. But he got acquitted. Why aren't you getting upset about the Phil Sector case? Robert Blake. How come, where's your rage for that? How come you always bring up fucking O.J. Simpson for getting away with murder? The only black person to, even if it was true, the only brown person to fucking get away with murdering some damn body, murdering a Caucasian person. Like I should give a fuck about that when y'all the majority killed. I mean, you have a Caucasian person who ran over a so-called black person, as you call it, with his pickup truck, and then you have another case where a black man was dragged. But where's the outrage about that? Dragged? I mean, I'll talk about lynched, dragged, and the truck is going like 100 miles per hour, and his body is destroyed and disintegrated. Where is the rage in that? And those motherfuckers got by with it. They got slaps on the wrist. You got Robert Blake murdering his wife, ex-girlfriend, significant other, mistress. I mean, just read the cases yourself. Okay, I want to read. Robert Blake faces charges of murdering Bonnie Lee Blakely and shooting 2 other men to kill her. Blakely was shot to death on May 2001 as she sat in the sports car alley behind Los Angeles area restaurant where the couple had just dined. Where's the rage in that? Now, this what really pisses me off. You have, John Benet Ramsey. Where's the outrage? This bitch, I know the mom killed her daughter. I know for the fact. The mom was jealous of her daughter. What kind of mother dresses her daughter as a prostitute? Putting makeup on her, and she's like 3-4 years old. 5. and she dresses her up in makeup and exploits her own fucking child. But motherfuckers want to bitch about child molestation and rape, but these fucking feminists don't want to talk about this shit. Oh, I forgot. We're going to talk about objectification, but we're not going to talk about it's okay for you women to be sluts. But men cannot judge y'all. But men cannot judge you. A man should never judge you. But we can judge a man, right? Based on how much money he has. Based on how many women he's been with, right? Rather he had any women in his life, right? Because if he's still a virgin by 30, he's an undesirable. Because you women created that. You set that man up to be miserable like that. And you think it's funny. And that's why you deserve to die. Real talk. I mean, murder is justified. Sometimes. Okay? Once you understand circumstances, that don't mean it's right, but it's justified by the way you treat other people. People treat people. The problem is people treat other people the way they don't want to be treated, and they wonder why this shit happens. I mean, the mom killed her own daughter and covered it up, and the husband, which is a fucking mangina, pussy whipped up the ass. I mean, if my wife, right, you know, try to dress my daughter to be a hooker, and I don't care if she talk about exploring her talent. She can use her fucking brain, do some artwork, use some other creative talent, athletic talent. But dressing like a fucking whore and putting lipstick does not mean you have fucking talent. Excuse me, all right. I mean, I will not have my daughter being taught matriarchy and to be dressed up like a fucking slut, and especially at 3, 4, 5 years old. You understand what I'm saying? And plus, if my wife or anybody murdered my child, right? If my wife murdered any of my kids, that bitch would have been fucking dead. I would have killed the bitch myself. I know, fuck turning her into the fucking police. She would have been fucking dead. Anybody would have been fucking dead. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Where is the uproar and all the links I provide and all the screenshots you read? Where is your uproar in that? Let me show you my face. Like I was saying, where is the rage? People die and get killed every fucking day. But people don't give a shit and don't care. People die from a variety of reasons. From alcohol abuse, sniffing shit that they shouldn't be sniffing, getting high, drug overdosed, domestic violence, fighting, because y'all people treat other people like shit. You treat people the exact same way you don't want to be treated. People robbing somebody, taking advantage of somebody, being assaulted. People dying from freak accidents in the home, at the job, especially at the job. That's more, that people die from more work deaths, especially blue collar jobs. Then that's in the home. Car wrecks, people die from train wrecks. I mean, the airplane, especially if you're flying in the airplane. I mean, that sucker can just fall from the sky because of turbulence. But people don't give a damn. People don't want to talk about how children are abused, but you got children internationally as well in this country being sold off as prostitutes. But how come we don't see? How come nobody pays attention to that? How come the mainstream media doesn't want to show you that? You know why? Because they're paid by the fucking criminal elite bankers. People want to cry about this person getting away with murder, but they don't want to focus on the person who's running the legal system, which are criminals, which is the fucking mob, the politicians who do the most evilest dirt. You got Walmart, you got corporations, McDonald's killing people. You got the healthcare industry denying people care, and they're dying. Murder right there. Not to save, you're going to refuse to save another human being because they don't have the money or because of some bullshit ass health insurance. But you but they at least can get free healthcare, right? They let the illegals, the so-called. It's funny how they let the immigrants come in, but they without just freely, and then they say call them illegal immigrants when they let them do it. It makes no sense to me. You know, if you're wondering why I'm having a hard time talking, it's because I have a toothache and it's a tooth infection. So that's why my words are a little fucked up. People bitch and cry about these situations, but they don't pay attention to how it's happening all over the place. Even in the even in their own backyard. You know why the media won't show you that? Because you actually might wake up. I'll be right back. Where was I, man? I know I'm wrong with this video. I have to cover a lot of points. Like I said, the whole comparison with Casey Anthony and O.J. Simpson is fucking ridiculous. Like I said before, let me tell you like this. With O.J., you know, when you look at the O.J. Simpson case, if the races were reversed, if O.J. Simpson was a Caucasian man and Nicole Brown Simpson was a African American woman, do you think it would make headline news? Do you think Caucasian people, the majority, would be upset because he got acquitted? They wouldn't probably give a shit. Y'all probably say that nigga bitch deserved it. I know for a fact he would say some dumb shit like that. If the Caucasian man's wife was non-Caucasian, you probably say some ignorant shit like that, especially if she's black. Okay, that's a fact. Tell the truth. For us to move forward as a people, for people to work together, we have to be honest with ourselves. Real talk, you got to be honest. No, just be honest. No, I will not see it the same way. Then okay, I can respect you for telling me that. Is it wrong for you to think like that? Yes. Because you're treating somebody the way you don't want to be treated yourself. The only reason why you got up in the uproar. Now the thing is, I would just backtrack. I remember they were talking about the case when I was like in the 5th grade, the O.J. Simpson case. Now, at that time, when I started seeing people just basing the way the media portrayed it, they try to cause racial division. Like all the Caucasians thought O.J. was guilty, and all the so-called black people thought O.J. was innocent, and that was not the case. In my circles, even as me young and not understanding racism like I do now, it was not the case. You had a diversity of opinions, but what happened is, as the case went on, all the Caucasians were on one side saying O.J.'s guilty, and all the black people on the other side were saying O.J.'s innocent. That's what happened. I swear to God, every time I try to make a video, I hate my video. But like I'm saying, it was another tactic, because there was a lot of corruption going on with politics. There was always corruption. I'm talking about, the stuff that President Clinton was doing, all the politicians, Bush. You got to understand that time. That's how they were trying to bring in the New World Order, trying to speed things up. That's why they brought all this, created that divide and conquer bullshit that people keep falling for. You know, but I think when OJ got off, I don't know why y'all upset. Because my thing is, if OJ was a Caucasian man, you probably wouldn't get upset as much. Probably wouldn't give a shit. Probably wouldn't even make the news. With all the killings and all the injustices that people of color have endured, especially with the LA riots like the years before, I mean, with the Rodney King incident, nobody cared. But I'm pretty sure if the situation was in reverse, Caucasian people would give a damn. And the reason why I'm speaking because it's the group that's talking the dumb shit. The majority, it's like the majority of them are the ones who had their influence on their opinions. I mean, when OJ got acquitted, you gotta understand that was the past. Funny how you want to tell everybody else to forget about their past, but the Jews don't have to forget about their past. You don't have to forget about your past and how you were oppressed by the Middle Easterners of Arab people in the something BC, and how you were oppressed and how you were in caves. You don't want to talk about, you don't want to, oh, you can cry about that. And then you can cry about World War I, World War II, and then you talk about how you had this war with Korea, and how you even though you attacked Korea, but you were the victim because your people died. And then we got Japan, Pearl Harbor. You don't want to talk about how the Japanese were suffering, but you want to talk about your suffering. Let's talk about Vietnam. The way you try to destroy their land and destroy the native peoples with the Agent Orange. Oh, you want to talk about how you were suffering, but you were raping the women, raping the kids, maiming, killing, colonializing, raping the land, stealing the natural resources. I'm not saying you even if, I mean, I'm talking about the institutions of the system allowing it to take place. Okay, so understand who I'm talking about. But how you're guilty for supporting the system. We're all guilty. When you support Apple, when you support corporations, this is what happens. Then you got the Middle East. But you know, you talk about the wars of the Middle East when you're stealing their oil. They're stealing the resources because they don't want to give it to you because the way they feel you're treating them. Especially when you bring up this Osama bin Laden character who works with CIA. Man, I tell you, man, it's funny. Man, civil rights era. I mean, all the people who got killed, black people getting killed, fighting for the rights to be equal citizens, and they're still not equal citizens. I don't know which is worse. I mean, but y'all, it's funny how with some Caucasians we're talking about, well, certain people suffer like the Arab people suffer worse. I mean, you first of all, I don't know. You can. It's just every time with issues when it comes to racial issues, they want to put that in the back burner. But when it comes to air issues, this is what happens when you're economically disadvantaged. You call the shots. You can't. That's what happens when money is brought into it. This is what happens when another human being controls money or defines what you can do and can't do if you don't have the dollar. But, oh, the Arab people suffer this and that. I will never say this person suffer more than the other. I don't know which is worse. Being labeled a terrorist or being labeled as a fucking undesirable of society, being the bottom of society, being the loser, being the failure, being the guy who gets raped in the ass by the society. That 3/5 of a human being, a person who's just not looked at as a human being, is considered inferior for all this time and a fucking failure and a fucking joke of the world, the nigger of the world, of a black person. But it's like you want to show some empathy to other groups of non-Caucasians, but when it comes to those of darker skin, you don't care that much. Alright, so like I said, I mean, everybody's issues are important. The thing with the whole Casey Anthony case, people were crying because Casey Anthony, her daughter Kaylee, got killed by her mother. But that happens all the time. Now, if Casey Anthony was it was a different ethnic group, probably wouldn't make the news. Sadly, but that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's that bigotry I'm talking about. Your problems are more important, but other people's problems aren't. And you can't think like that. And then think with some Caucasian people, I'm not gonna say all, but it's like majority. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. It's like, and then they get upset or why some people hate white people. I've been accused of that, and that's like so. But I communicate with one who understands where I'm coming from. But I'm friends online and in real life. I don't understand how you're gonna try to call me racist for speaking out injustice that has happened to me. That is like a rapist raping a woman, and then the woman says, "This guy raped me," and the guy that raped the woman calls her a man hater. I mean, what do you expect? You expect her to like this? You expect her to enjoy being raped? Come on. And then you wonder why you had the incident out in Missouri where a black man shot up and killed a group of white people at the courthouse, I believe, because he got sick and tired of being done wrong. And then you wonder why you have the incident that happened out in Connecticut with Omar Ford. Look how he was being treated. And then you wonder why it happened again? I mean, if you were in their shoes, you would do the same thing. Probably do it worse because you can't handle it. I saw Columbine. You motherfuckers can't handle adversity like that, pain and suffering. I want to dish it, but you don't want to take your own medicine, which is sad. You know, with the 9/11, you want to cry about what happened to you, even though the Arab people didn't do it. It was one guy, but he was paid by the government, your people, your system, and then you want to cry and bitch, but nobody else can cry and bitch. I mean, when people cry and bitch, then obviously there's something wrong. But like I was saying, if Kaylee was a little girl and she was happened to be a black girl, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Easterner, East Indian, you probably wouldn't give a damn. It probably wouldn't even make the news, which is sad. That shows, I mean, no, you're not more important than anybody else. You're not better than nobody else. Now, granted, you know what's really sickening? If Kelly was a boy that got killed by Casey Anthony, the mother, I mean, this happens, this is more common. Boys get abused more than girls when it comes to their mom, their mother. If Kelly was Casey Anthony's son, and that mother killed her child, it'd still be an issue, but it wouldn't be covered because he's just a boy, right? He's an alien. So we gotta look at it like that too. If Kelly was a boy, nobody would give a damn. The media would not put that out there. That's what I'm saying. You would care. You probably would care and want to know, some of you, but the majority wouldn't care. And the media would not put that out there because they're trying to make money. And talking about a boy getting killed that's not a big deal. When a girl gets killed, everybody cries. This is the misandry that's taking place with the media outlets because it's run by feminist, matriarchy, under European patriarchy, Eurocentric patriarchy. So that's what we have to realize, man. These double standards, it's ridiculous. You know, with Nicole, since you want to compare Casey Anthony to O.J. Simpson, okay, so let's put the genders in reverse. If Nicole Brown Simpson killed O.J. Simpson, y'all would have said that nigga deserved to die. He's just a guy. That will teach him. Remember Catherine Becker? Let's talk about that. Since we want to compare every case, we want to compare every situation as the same situation. Jersey Shore style. Okay, so if Catherine Becker was in her husband's shoes and she wanted to get a divorce, she paid all the bills, she took care of him, she was the breadwinner, she ran shit. Okay, and she says, "Honey, I want a divorce. I'm tired of your ass. I don't want to be with you no more. Especially if the nigga ain't work. Especially if the guy ain't working. He's not making any contribution. He ain't, giving her no back rub, no foot massage. Don't want to listen to her. It's just, but the guy always want to talk about, oh, it's my me, like you women do. Well, you women always talk about me. I the one that suffer. I the one me suffer. That kind of crap. And the dude is nuts and delusional. Like you women are, the majority of you are. If Catherine Becker said, you know what, like I said, she's the breadwinner. She's doing everything. She's doing it all. She's the main contributor to the relationship. The guy ain't doing anything at all. You women would say, and she told her husband, I want a divorce. And I want you out of my house. Then the husband makes her dinner, voluntarily makes her dinner, drugs her food. She falls asleep. She's tied up in the bed. Then she wakes up tied to the bed. I wonder what's going on. And then the guy has a knife and cuts her vagina out, cuts the lips out, cuts her clitoris out, cuts her breast off, and throws it over in the garbage disposal. Then her pain, she's in so much pain and suffering that her life is destroyed, and her body's mutilated to death, and her genitalia is mutilated to death. Then we have a male show called The Talk. Then we got a male Sharon Osbourne making jokes. Then we got a male Julie Chan talking shit, and the other cackling hens, cackling cunts, or you would call what you feminists would call chauvinist pigs, talking junk, making assumptions, and the male audience talking about, oh, she asked for it, she deserved it, she had it coming. Y'all would have had an uproar. You would have had an uproar. You know what I'm saying? You would have had an uproar. I mean, there would have been protests. I mean, the men would have lost their jobs, man. I mean, the only place that they could probably do it, have a show like this, is probably in the Middle East. But I'll tell you one thing, man. If Casey Anthony's son had a son and it was named Kelly, probably would have been a different name. And knowing Casey Anthony's track record and the way she lived her life, that guy would have been shamed as a loser. He probably been TFL. He would have forced upon himself because he ain't doing nothing in his life. He's not like he's trying hard to live right and take the road less traveled. But, actually, Casey Anthony was a man. She would have been a bad boy. So I take that back. So she probably would have. She as a he would have been fucking bitches left and right. And let's say, Casey Anthony as a man. And if Casey Anthony was a dad instead of a mother, and she killed her child and waited over a month, 31 days, covered up the evidence, got her family involved, and the parents tried to pretend they didn't know what's going on, but they were helping her with the case. And then you got the cops fucking up the case. Then you have another crooked cop trying to cover it up because maybe a woman cop maybe because she liked her bad boy, so trying to get it in, And then he gets acquitted. Casey Anthony as a man. First of all, been an uproar. First of all, Casey Anthony was a male, a guy. He would have been locked up. If Casey Anthony looked like this person, her skin color was a little darker, death row. Automatically, the death chamber, life in prison. And Casey Anthony was a male, and Casey Anthony was the same race that she was as a man, probably life in prison. Just life in prison. Probably, just spend a long time in jail. Don't drop the soap. And the punishment would have been rightfully so. You don't kill kids. But my thing is, it has to be equal. So I mean, there's no difference. I mean, so at the end of the day, if Kelly was a boy, nobody would care. It's obvious because of the sexism. You know, Casey Anthony was a shade darker and would have been a male, death row. Obviously, automatically death row. So, I mean, the moral of the story is, of all this talking, people, I mean, to reference OJ is just is absurd. Because nobody talks about Robert Blake, John Benet Ramsey's mother, and a bunch of, and then Phil Sector. I can go on. Nobody talks about these other people. Drew Peterson, and then you got this other Peterson out in Illinois, who killed his. Who obviously he was a cop. That was a head cop, and nobody's beating down the court system's door, the law enforcement's door, to put him in jail for a long time. But everybody want to worry about OJ. Nobody cares about OJ, but they just want to suffer because of his skin color and because he's a male. But Casey Anthony, since she's Caucasian, she got fair skin. She can just walk off free. And I know some people are appalled by that, but I mean, you shouldn't be surprised. I mean, who runs the system? The criminals. I mean, you have people dying. You have people getting killed every day, getting kidnapped, but nobody wants to talk about it until it makes the news. So America, at the end of the day, is a fucking joke. It's a bunch of hypocrites. We're hypocrites. You got America terrorizing other lands, other nations across the globe, the world, and robbing them, and stealing from them, and raping and killing and maiming, and enslaving. But we have the nerve to talk and complain. And then we support the killers, which is your McDonald's, which is your Walmart, which is your Kmart. Should I go on? Which is Apple, Mac. They buy these politicians, and then you got Toyota. They buy these politicians, and then we get screwed over, and then we have the nerve to complain. It just makes no sense. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. But I mean, the moral of the story is, the next time you judge somebody, you gotta judge the situation in reverse. Next time you judge somebody, you judge it. You put yourself in that person's shoes, then decide if you would still be okay with that decision. Before you have any prejudice, you look at every scenario. If the situation was in reverse, would you still be okay if it was okay? Right? I mean, from their looks, from their social class, from their gender, from their race. You look at all avenues, and to see if you still feel the same way. If you feel differently, then you're obviously prejudiced, and then you're obviously biased, and you're a bigot. Because if you're not equal across the board, you're wrong. And that's all I gotta say. I'm out. Peace. You have a good one.